Okay, y'all. LDBC. Listen, I want to go ahead. This is a very serious topic, okay? And respect to the sister that sent me the email. And she wanted to know my thoughts about what are the characteristics of people who shoot up schools. What are the characteristics of people who shoot up schools? Now, I work with a lot of children. I probably work with thousands of kids throughout my lifetime. Um, and I do understand different personalities. You have to. You have to understand the personalities in order to be a coach. You have to know how to deal with each of the personalities. You have to know how to do it. Because if you can't be an effective coach. But I'll tell you this, though. When I started really seeing these guys these school shooters, I began to wonder because it seemed like all of these guys that shoot up these schools, they do it in the same fashion. Like nobody really knows a whole lot about what's going on with them. Nobody really knows. And then it's like a all of a sudden moment that they shoot up the school. Well, here, the first real thing that these people have in common, the first thing that they have in common is that these kids, they're overly neglected. I'm talking about they legit neglected by their folks. They're so neglected because, well, they're not causing problems at school. They're not even causing problems in the house. Hell, they don't even say much at home. Their parents never have to get on them. Many of these kids right here, their parents never have had to speak to them one time about any behavior problem. Because most of these people, most of these school shooters are very well behaved. You'd be surprised. Many of these guys, they're very, very well behaved. But they're neglected. And see, do you know that many of these guys, that honestly, if their parents wasn't neglecting them, and if their parents actually would sit down and engage them at least once a day, do you know that many of these kids could have got the help they needed before this happened? Because school shooters, they give off signs. They give off a lot of signs, but you have to be intelligent enough to see those signs. But I did a research, and I researched a lot of these school shooters. And many of them, they were neglected. Very, very much so, to the point to many of them never even talked to their parents. Because their parents were so busy doing other stuff or just busy. Busy working, trying to keep food on the table. And I understand that. I worked a lot, but you know what? I always found time to speak to my daughter, go through her book bag, check that phone, just do a lot of stuff that you're supposed to do. Even, like you take my lunch break and just show up at the school unannounced. Like you have to, as a parent, you have to do stuff like that. See, many of these kids' parents, they left these kids to their own devices. And as a parent, you never do that. Because kids don't make good decisions. Come on, name a kid name a kid that haven't fucked up. They all do. Because their brains are not fully developed, y'all. And in some situations, kids, teenagers, they can't think logically to get out of the situation. So they do the dumbest thing possible. But that's why kids need parents to teach them what they need to be doing in order to not make the mistake again. Okay, but when you have kids left to their own devices, all they're going to do is mess up because they don't have nobody guiding them. Do you want to know who's guiding these people when the parents neglect them? The internet, the world. That's who's actually parenting your kids. The internet and the world. And kids, as teenagers, they're highly influenced. They're highly influenced. Okay, they're very impressionable. Okay, very impressionable. And so, parents, you got to be careful because you have to know what your kids are capable of. And guys, do y'all know that in many of these situations, had the parents been more vigilant in their child's life, do you know that many of these people, they could have actually got the help that they needed? And many of these school shootings could have been prevented. You see that 5 or 10 minutes that, you don't spend with your kid because you just ready to go home and lay down. Or that 5 or 10 minutes that you got that 5 or 10 minutes, but you don't go check to see what your kid doing in their room. See, that cost a lot of parents. And parents are dumbfounded. They dumbfounded because they never knew that their kids were capable of this. But you have to engage and interact with your kids to know what they're capable of. And you got to be able to detect mental health issues. You got to be able to detect that because they got to get the help early. The faster they get treated, the faster they can be in a treatment facility. They're not on the street having these thoughts thinking about, well, I'm going to go kill. I want to kill. And I do at times I blame the parents. Because I always gotta say, where were you as a parent? Like, where were you legit as a parent when these kids were having these issues? Where were you as a parent? Guys, I'm telling you, many of these guys were very well behaved. But the parental neglect problem, that's the big thing. That's the big thing. And if these are boys, if the dad not interacting with these sons, that's even worse. If these fathers of these sons are not being interacted with, that's even worse. These guys, they gotta have guidance. They gotta have guidance, but man, the parents gotta do a better job. People say, well, you can't blame the parents for everything. No, you can't blame them for everything. But damn it, you can blame a parent for neglecting their kid. You can blame a parent that neglect the needs of their child. You can't be too busy. You can't be too busy in order to do for your kids. You can't. And we got some sorry ass parents out there. I'm talking about, my God, we got some sorry parents. I mean, these parents are just, it's to the point where these parents are just like, they don't care. It's like they care about their job, which is understandable. Or some of these parents care about, what they got going on in their life. And to many of these parents, the kids are just in the way. It's like, damn, well, why have kids? Okay, another thing that these kids, all of them have in common, like 9 out of 10 of these kids, they were victims of being bullied. They were victims of being bullied. Like, folks, you got to understand, in America, and especially in America, man, it's a serious problem. The bullying problem is out of hand. Because, see, the problem is, what the problem with bullying is, it's not the fact that the kids won't stand up for themselves. It's the fact when they do stand up for themselves, then they get the same treatment as the person that's fucking with them. I'll never forget when I was 8 years old. Never forget this. And it was these same 3 dudes. They bullied the hell out of me. And I'm talking to the point like taking my lunch money. Like one kid took a knife and cut my belt from my pants. Okay, another person, took these scissors and cut a patch of hair out of my head. And I was mad. Boy, I was pissed at that. I'll never forget that. Okay? Yeah, I talked to the dude taking my lunch money. So then, when I stopped bringing lunch money to school, I started bringing my lunch to school thinking that was going to solve the problem. No. Because then they would go and grab the bag lunch that I packed for myself. They would go grab that. So now I ain't had no money, couldn't buy lunch, couldn't eat. So, I was pissed off. I was mad, okay, angry. And then when you try to tell the teachers or you try to tell a figure, first of all, when you do that, it just makes the situation worse because now everybody know you as a snitch. And then, when you known as a snitch, well, that just make people come for your neck even more than that. So I got sick of it, man. And one day I just said, you know what? I'm not finna take no more. So I went back home that night, after the boy cut the patch of hair out of my head. I went back home. I took a metal pipe, okay? I wrapped black tape around this metal pipe, okay? I mean, it was a thick metal pipe too. I wrapped some black tape around that metal pipe, and then inside the metal pipe, I put I took a broomstick, broke the broomstick, and I put that also in the metal pipe. So I had these pieces of wood and pieces of the broomstick in the metal pipe. Because I knew then, if the pipe was solid, it'll do more damage. So I did all of that. Put it in my book bag, went to school, okay? And I said, and I was ready for war that day. I said, I don't care if I got to take one of them out, I'm going to do it. But today, I'm not budging. I would go sit in the front of the bus and thinking that would solve the problem. Nope, they would just come to the front of the bus and they do the same thing. And the damn bus driver sitting right there. And, I'm looking at the bus driver like, yo, I'm 8 years old, you going to do something? And the bus driver just sit there, drive the bus and shake her head. That's the kind of treatment that you got when you bully. So I said, no, I'm going to stand my ground today. I said, man, I'm going out in a blaze today. I said, I'm taking somebody off the earth today. That was my thought. Okay, got to the bus stop, didn't say a single word to anybody. Didn't say a single word. But then, got on the bus and they came to the front of the bus doing what they do. So I stood up this time. And I told him, hey, man, I said, dude, I'm going to kill one of y'all. And, the bus got hype. Oh. So one boy turned his head, to talk to his buddies and say, man, hey man, look, man, we finna knock this dude out. We finna beat the hell out of him. So I reached into that bag, took out that pipe, and I went to work on them three. I beat the hell out of them with that damn pipe. And then the last boy I was beating on, oh man, I was beating. I had to hit that boy about 20 times. And I legit in my mind, I said, I'm going to take him out. And I was hitting him. I'm talking about I was beating him and beating him and beating him and beating him with this pipe. And then he was putting his hands up. And the more he put his hands in the way, he put his hands in the way, and he was trying to block it with his elbows and his forearms. And then when his forearms started getting cut up, then he was crying, and I kept on beating him with this pipe. So the bus driver stops the bus, grabs the pipe from me. No, grabs it from me. Grabs me. Okay, grabs me. Now, guess who get in trouble? Guess legit, who got in trouble for that ordeal? See, it wasn't the dudes that was taking my lunch money, that cut a patch out of my head, that took a knife and cut my belt. No, it wasn't them. No, it wasn't them. No, it was me. I got suspended off the bus for 10 days for defending myself. For defending myself against 3 people. The bus driver would see this shit every day. Every day. It was always 3-on-1. Bus driver did nothing. Told the school. Nothing. So I had the thoughts in my head, I said, you've been in school before. And there are people you just don't like that you were saying in your head. And I'm not saying something that anybody ain't thought. When I was a kid, it was certain kids I thought, you know what? Man, if they dead, I ain't gonna care. They ain't gonna care if they dead. Good. Because they shouldn't be bullying me. Like, that's what I used to think. And you got kids now who thinking, I'm so sick and tired of so-and-so. I'm sick of them. Something happened to them tomorrow. They get ran over by a car. I ain't gonna give a damn. Like, there are kids who are thinking this because they're getting bullied so much and nobody is doing a damn thing about it. Now, I don't condone what these kids have done. Don't condone it. Okay? Because there are a lot of kids who are being neglected. There are a lot of kids who are being bullied. But damn it, they're not shooting up people. Okay? Let's get that straight. Let's get that right. They're not shooting up the place. Okay? They ain't shooting up nothing. But I'm saying, though, that the bullying problem is so severe that you have probably millions of kids in the country that's being bullied. They have these same thoughts, guys. Even back in my age and back in that day, I had those thoughts as a kid. They got the thoughts as a kid. The difference is, though, some of these kids now, they will act on those emotions. They'll act on them because they're so sick of being bullied. They sick of it. They sick of, think about it. Every day you get up, you get on a bus, you walk down the hall. Every day you got somebody on your ass messing with you, trying to embarrass you, trying to ridicule you. People can get tired of it. 9 out of 10 of these school shooters were bullied. They were bullied. Folks, it'd be amazing if the bullying problem would stop. If people would just stop messing with people. But I'm going to tell you the end of the story, though, to when I beat those boys with that lead pipe. Guess what? I got suspended for 10 days, but they never bothered me again. Because my parents, they worked. I was one of them kids where, now, I'll give you this. My mom and my dad, they took their time. They worked a lot, and I had to handle a lot of things on my own, but they still found time to see what I was doing. Like, they just didn't leave me to my own devices. They didn't do that. But my mom told me, hey, you better go take care of that. My dad told me, hey, son, you better not be scared. You better go deal with that situation. However you deal with it. And that's the one time my parents left me to my own devices. They left me, and I went and did what I was supposed to do. I beat them with that pipe. I beat them with that pipe until I got tired. And the last guy, to the bus driver, had to physically remove me from that kid. But do you think it's right that a person can be bullied and then the person who retaliate because they're sick and tired of being bullied, that person get punished? This happens all across the country in America. When the kid being bullied, they fight back and they do what they got to do. Okay? Because you got somebody who can't stop fucking with them and they do what they got to do. The kid who being bullied, guess what? That's the kid that get the punishment. While these people continue to do what it is they want to do to make your life or make your kid's life or just make any kid life a living hell. Some kids get tired of it and they act on it. See, people better start looking at some of these stats. They better start understanding, okay, what's going down when it comes to these school shooters. Number one, they're neglected, and number two, they're bullied. Let's look at number three, okay? They have poor social skills. Their social skills, all of them, are socially awkward. Very socially awkward. And I'm talking about to the point they can't even hold a conversation. They can't even hold a conversation. And if you speak to them, they'll respond, but they can't hold any convos with you. They can't do it. I mean, that's a characteristic of these people. They socially awkward. And do you know that most of these school shooters, they're loners? They're loners. They used to joke, man. And I'm gonna tell you, a teacher friend of mine used to always joke about the quiet kids, the kids that nobody talked to. They used to joke, but them the kids, they used to be nice to. Them the kids they used to try to befriend, because if something go down, they didn't want to be a victim of that person. They want that person to remember them as being the person that was really nice to them. Guys, I kid you not. Some teachers, they do this in schools. They immediately try to build a rapport with that kid that don't talk to nobody. And the fourth thing that these people have in common, they have poor hygiene. Okay? Very, very, very poor hygiene. And if you look at these guys on the picture here, you look at these guys. I mean, do these people look like they got great hygiene? They neglect their hygiene, man. I'm talking about they got some of the worst hygiene in the school. Very, very bad hygiene. And it's what it is, because when you're depressed, and that's number 5, all of these people that do the school shootings, they're manic depressants. They're depressing. That's number 5, they're depressed. And when a person when they're very depressed, that person don't care about things like hygiene. That person don't care about their appearance. They don't care about that. They don't heed warning or caution to the hygiene. They don't care. And the last thing that I'm going to say, the last characteristic, is that every last one of these school shooters, the great majority of them, they're suicidal. They're suicidal. They don't care about their lives anymore, so they don't care about yours. They'll take their life, and they'll damn sure take yours. They're suicidal. I gave y'all 5. Well, no, I gave you 6 things that they have in common. And I guarantee you, if you can sit down and interview any of these kids, talk to them, they're going to tell you the exact same things I told you. They're going to tell you that their parents didn't give a S about them. They're going to tell you that they were bullied in school. Okay? That's what they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you that they were socially awkward. They're going to tell you that they were loners and nobody talked to them. They're going to tell you that they had very poor hygiene. Or when you're around them, you're going to notice they have poor hygiene because you can smell them. Okay? Like, they're going to tell you all of the things that I just told you. Everything that I just told you, they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you. Okay? They're going to tell you that they're depressed. And they're going to tell you that they're suicidal. That's what they have in common. But if the parents, and we go back to number 1, really. Number 1 starts with the parents. Because, see, if the parents don't take an active role and try to figure out, like, who's bullying you, what's going on. See, the parents, everything starts with those parents. And those parents got to take that role. They got to take the bull by the horns. And they've got to lead this situation. They've got to do it. They got to do it. They can't sit back and allow their kids to try to handle the situation. They can't do it. They've got to go in there with guns blazing to resolve the problem. And then they got to go get these kids the mental help that they need. Because if a person is being neglected and if they're being bullied, I'm going to tell you right now, you've already set the breeding ground. The breeding ground is already set for this person to go do some stuff. It's already set. It's just a matter of time before they do it.